Joe Mack. Joe Mack.
Well, we're here for a very special Big Blue update, and I'm glad that the Comish is really happy. He's probably one of maybe 10 people in Winnipeg right now that's happy. Good for you.
I'm so happy because the Bombers have just saved themselves hundreds of thousands of dollars, which means they're going to go out and get a real quarterback.
The fuzzy math that Butchered Co. and you can come up with is not thinking ahead. And I'm telling you, that's going to cost them more money than they think. They're going to wish they dumped that guy, sorry you know what, and got somebody legitimate here. Because if you're basing that decision on that, it's not fair to the paying fans, pay good money to see a terrible product on the field, and it's the GM who's responsible. And for that GM to come out today and say he's happy with what he sees, they're doing well, they're heading in the right direction, and they're competing. I don't know what planet he's on, and I don't know what planet Butch goes on. But I tell you what, the fans deserve a lot better than what they received today. And we're the laughing stock of the country. This organization has hit rock bottom. All right? They're going to have to dig down deeper into the ground when next season's over. And this doesn't give any hope to the fan out there. You can be happy all you want.
Agree with you. I disagree with you, not 100%, 75%. They've stayed the course. They've started on the path. And Mack has to finish. Was he signed to 3 years? Is that or was it Burke signed?
I don't care if the guy was signed to 30 years. All right? This guy is a clueless clown. All right?
He's not clueless. He brought in American players.
You could look with a straight face at the media, and you can tell them that you're happy with what you see. And let's recap, because I know that you agree with this piece. They might be 3-3 in the last 6 games, which isn't anything to say you're proud of anyway. But in 3 of those games, they were obliterated, embarrassed, and humiliated. All right? If you are basing it on 6 games, which Bochco looks like he's doing, and taking Mack's word, that's reason to be fired. If you're only looking at 3 games that you won and 5 in the whole year, then you come out and you tell people. But you know what? When this season's over, the Bombers are going to be 5-13 or 6-12. All right? And that's what you're selling to the public that you're happy about? And you've taken a step backwards? That is what I'm upset about. They've not gone forward. They've gone backwards. And you can look at everything this Mack has done, and you can say it's horse Mack. All right? And that's what we're getting for another. It's horse Mack.
Here's what you're missing. I don't listen. Unless you have somebody better waiting in the wings to change leadership at this point, would be a step backwards. Mack now knows what he has to go out and do. Hopefully he's learned his lesson from this year. Tim Burke's going to get to put his own coaching staff in place. And he's shown some promise. And Mack shows that he has the ability to get some American players in. Now he has to go get a quarterback. The Bombers now have money because they haven't fired him to go get a quarterback.
You trust this monkey. You really trust him? I mean, let's be honest. All right? The guy is at the circus swinging around with the other animals. All right? And the board of directors is right behind him. All right? These guys are inept. If you want to talk money, they're not going to have any money. If they couldn't fire him because of money, they're not going to have money. They're not going to go for free agency. They're going to dump all these guys again, go for rookies. This is how the guy works. And you know what? I feel desperately sorry for Burke that the guy has got a Krusty the Clown as his boss. Because you know what? If they get 5 or 6 games into next season, which could happen, all right? 5 or 6 games and they're doing bad, then who's going to save his butt again? It's going to be Mack. All right? And that's assuming that they're in the next building by the time next season happens. Because what I've been reading is things aren't as rosy as the Bombers are trying to make it sound. They're inept in everything they do, this organization right now. They are clowns. They are jokesters. And the public needs to stand up against these guys. An empty stadium, okay, this weekend would be great. Starting out.
Actually, an empty stadium this weekend wouldn't be great because you know what? They're honoring.
You want to show them what money counts?
They don't deserve that.
You want to show what money counts? You want to show them what money counts? Don't show up, people. Show them what an empty stadium does to your pocketbook. Tell them all you had to do is fire the GM and you want to nickel and dime us? You want to nickel and dime us? We will nickel and dime you because you know what? We are a hard-working city and our money counts for something. Okay? It counts for something. And the Bombers board of directors doesn't see past that because you know what? They don't worry for money. They don't worry for money. The public does. The average Joe worries how he's going to pay for the bills, and yet he finds a way to go to a Bomber game. You know what? Don't do it. Take care of your family. Nobody else is going to do it for you.
Well, that's the thing. As a fan, you have a choice. You don't have to watch. You don't have to go to the games. Maybe that'll send a message. Maybe it won't. I just think that they had no choice but to keep him on board.
These people on the board are entitled pansies. And I don't mean pansy to somebody who is of a certain leaning, a homosexual. I don't mean pansy in that way. So please don't take offense if that's what you thought I meant. I meant more they're entitled sissies. They're entitled spoiled brats. Okay?
Fluids.
Huh? The board of directors, they're spoiled.
How do you don't even know the board of directors? Listen.
Because if they're acting the way they're acting now, and they have no regard for the public that they're entrusted, all right? They're entrusted to look for the best of the public. And you know what? I agree with a few comments I read from people that are outside the city. It's a mentality that we don't understand in Winnipeg. You know, Winnipeg got public insurance, auto insurance. It's public this, it's public that. You know, it's very socialized. And in many cases it works well. What it doesn't work well is for a football organization. An organization that is run believing that the public will bail it out. And with no compassion, with no thinking that they need to do what the paying customer says, they don't have to worry. Because if they get into financial problems, they will find a way to raise taxes to make it up. Where, if you're an owner, you better put a product on the field that is good. And you better make sure your customer base is happy. And Calgary understands that. Edmonton understands that. Every other city in the league understands that. And
Edmonton's not is publicly owned, so is Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan is.
I'm saying they're both. None of those teams have owned.
They just have people that are more honorable there.
You know what? I am not a big fan of Mack. But I'm a fan of at least staying the course and seeing where this gets us.
I'm not.
They made a mistake this year when they didn't get rid of Paul Lapalisse after the Grey Cup. That was the bit. He had to go. His footprints, fingerprints.
You know I tell you, the Bombers would have made the playoffs.
They're all over this team.
Had they not fired him, they would have made the playoffs.
I don't agree at all.
Yeah.
The Bombers they didn't have a quarterback for the year.
They didn't have a quarterback for the whole year anyway. Who's that? That's the GM's fault.
Last year they had Buck Pierce played in 12 games and he was
I want to take you back to the beginning of the season. All right? And I want to take you back where you were in arms over a certain beloved player being forced out. I want to take you back how outraged you were with Mack and what he was. This is before they played a game, all right? The direction that Mack was taking this team. I want to take you back to those days, all right? And how outraged you were and how I was the one trying to calm you down and how things have changed. Because you know what? This mess is Mack's fault. All Mack's fault. All his fault. I agree with what you said before the season started. 100% agree with what you said back then. All right?
Thank you.
I'm telling you that my tune has changed a bit because I want to see a year without LaPolice. The full year. I want to see Burke with a full year. I want to see that Mack has learned his lesson, that he knows now you need some veteran leadership.
I do not want to see this man. I can't bear to see him.
But you have no choice.
Just out of curiosity, where's Mack from and where does he live?
I believe he's from Ohio and he lives wherever his kids live. I don't know.
Okay, is he a full-time resident of our community?
He's not, and that's a knock against him.
He is not a full-time resident of our community. He's a general manager. Where does he watch the game? The same way I do from Minneapolis, watching some ESPN3 stream? Are you kidding me?
I'm assuming that they have some other way of getting him to see the game.
You know the point I'm trying to make. All right? That this guy has not committed to our community. He has not committed to the community.
Yet, why does a general manager have to be committed to the community? I'm tired of hearing it. He has to be committed to the football club and put a good product on the field.
Who pays his salary that they're so worried not to give up? The taxpayer of Winnipeg.
I guess ultimately we do, right?
Taxpayer of Manitoba. All right? The paying customer.
I just ask you, how does it help this team to terminate Mack and start from scratch again?
I'll tell you what. It does this. Burke has to start from scratch. It gives him something more to work with. Right now, I do think that Burke's hands he's handicapped. His hands are tied. All right? Because he's got Bozo the Clown, who's his boss. All right? I think this guy has potential. I want to see his potential. I truly don't believe we'll see his potential with Mickey Mouse at the helm. All right? I really don't believe that. And I sure as heck don't believe that you show your commitment to an organization or your commitment to a community when you're gallivanting elsewhere. You know what I wanted to see? I wanted to see a Canadian. I want to see a guy who understands the Canadian game. And I want to see a guy that doesn't mind.
Who is that guy? Who's out there?
I don't care. How long have they had? You tell me that they just made the decision today and figured out, oh my God, we can't start today. We can't start our search. Because that shows how inept they were.
I think that they looked, they searched, they made inquiries, and I think they found out that they're better off staying the course right now.
You know what? I'm sure you can find either a coach you can promote, and somebody who's been in the game that you can promote. I think.
Then again, you're going with an untested guy. You're going to be in the same position.
But you're not any worse.
How do you know?
And here's the big problem that I have with this move. Anyway, because you're putting all your eggs in the basket of Mack, which I think is a failure, and you don't have anybody who can replace him or who can groom him. And you know what? If you're really in rebuilding, I as a fan can understand if you say we need another 3 or 4 years. And what we're going to do, we're going to bring in a new GM and we're going to bring in an assistant who will then learn from the GM, because in 5 or 6 years you're going to need another GM anyway. Right? I could live with that. Because, what we're going to do is we're going to have topsy-turvy here. Right? I'm assuming they're lucky. If they have a good season next year, they're 7-11. Right? And we're not talking about where you get the good Slurpees either. All right? Okay? There's going to be mess on the field. Okay? You can have slush on the field with this guy. All right?
Well,
so you're going to have another lost year. You're 1 year behind. All right? With no plan. Because what are they going to do? They're going to have no plan next year. Then they're going to have to make a decision. Was it Mickey Mouse's fault? Or was it Burke's fault? Or was it both fault? Oh, now we need a new head coach, which is unfair to the guy you're now calling the real head coach. All right? The players are more in disarray. So what do? You go for a rookie movement again? Because that's all you can afford? Or because maybe nobody wants to come to Winnipeg and play? It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke everywhere. And every one of our good players ends up going elsewhere and burning us. It's a joke. We're a laughing stock to every fan in the CFL, every media personality in the CFL, and every player that's ever left Winnipeg. Okay? We're a laughing stock. And you know what? I think the fan deserves better. That's my little spiel for the day.
Well, I get your point. And I guess I'm just hoping, I'm really hoping that they gave him a good talking to and said, this is what you have to do, and if you don't do it, you're gone.
You know what I would like them to say? I wish, this is what I would have said. Alright? I would have sat down and said, hey, Mickey, I want to ask you something. It's not really an ask, it's a demand. I want you to find housing in Winnipeg. Come next spring. And I want you to come spring, and I don't want you to leave till the season's over, whenever that is. If you can't commit to that, get the hell out of here.
Well, you got a point there. That's what I guess. I'm hoping that that's what happened.
We pay this guy good money, and we got nothing that stays in this community. So I say, let's give it up anyway. It's going south of the border anyway. I'm, you know what? I'm insulted by that. I'm highly insulted that this man, the smug guy, takes the good money and can't even live in the community over a 6-month period. I'm insulted.
What you talking about, boy? Here's the thing. I'm going back to, like, does it really matter? Does it really matter where he lives?
Yes, it does.
I don't know. I'm confused today. I don't think that I have much more that I can even add because...
You know what I say? That's true. I don't think anybody who's employed by the Bombers needs to live in Winnipeg, including the players. Why do they need to practice in Winnipeg? Can't they go home, spend it with their family, practice in some high school field out there, and then come home? And you know what you could do? You could do a live feed at the practice field to show what the coach wants you to do, right? There's a lot of technology out there. You can talk to each other, communicate, and then you just fly in or take the Greyhound bus to the game over the weekend.
I'm going to leave you with this thought.
I mean, come on.
I'm going to leave you with what Garth Butchko said to end his...
Hey, one other question for you. All right, and then I'll let you leave that. Who pays for him to fly into the games, to see the games?
Well, obviously the Bombers would pay for him to fly.
Okay, there you go.
Do you know that he doesn't have a part-time residence in Winnipeg during the season? I don't know.
I'm about to have an aneurysm and a stroke over this. Let's not even look at record. Just let's look at principle.
There's no there. Let's look at what the CEO said. All right, and he said, what ultimately sealed my decision was I'm not ready to dismantle the organization and start over from scratch. Success comes when you have stability in the leadership position.
There is no stability.
You gotta play. This is who we're dealing with. Let's go out there.
No, you're wrong. This is why he's such a clown, because he's lying. He doesn't believe. Nobody believes that. That's the biggest load of horse manure I've ever heard. What he's saying is we can't afford to let him go because of payment. Okay, payment. What he's saying is we've got a clown. We've got Mickey at the helm, and the guy is clueless, but we're gonna go with it because we can't afford to go with somebody that might do a half decent job. You know what? Shame on him. Shame on him. And you know what? Even more so why the fans of Winnipeg should not put up with that guy.
Let's be careful out there. Hey! Let's be careful.
Anyway.
That is what he's saying to the fans. Listen, the season's over. We have to wait till next year to see what happens. There'll be lots to talk about. Off-season moves have to be made. If he doesn't do his job in the off-season, and that's when I believe he does most of his work, then we'll have something to...
Yeah, well, you know what? Luckily, we only have one game left, and hopefully it's not a disaster. But so much for not making any moves till the end of the season, okay? So much for that garbage, because they're full of it. This organization never did a search for anybody else, never had intent to really evaluate the guy, and I believe that. They were going with him all the way through, and they were going to bring him back. and that's a joke, and that has not done service to this community. Okay? It really hasn't.
I disagree. I believe Garth Butchko, he says they took a month to evaluate him, and this is what they came up with.
Well, you know what? I wonder what wacky tobacco they had in that room. Okay.
All right, well,
Okay.
let's
So
wish
he might think he evaluated, but if he did, then the guy's on something that's really working well for him, right?
Let's leave with this. Let's give Milt Stiegel a big wish him good luck as he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, and let's hope that Joe Mack, this is the start of his.
You know what? I hate to say it. I hope he fails. All right.
Well, I mean, listen, it's a good chance that he's going to fail.
Yeah, well, good chance. That's a good move for the Bombers. Woo! Hey guys, come and pay for another 9 games and throw away your money because we couldn't care. We're supposed to be entrusted to put on a product and when we take your money to do our best to put a good product on the field. But you know what? You've just entrusted a bunch of fools and a bunch of clowns. Ha ha ha! We're laughing at you because you guys are so stupid. You know why? Because you're going to buy tickets again next year. Ha ha ha! That's what they're saying. That's what they were doing in that room, in their rooms of conference or whatever they were doing, okay? That's what they were doing. They were laughing at the fan. They were smirking at the fan. They were saying, and if we really fail, we get a bailout. Okay? We can go to the public and they'll pay us back.
All right. We're going in circles here. Let's just call it a day. You got to go get some Valium to relax.
Well, it's called Tums, I've been seething. I think you know that all day,
All right, well, I think I'll just play us out with my favorite song.
Seething all day, and I'm more seething now. Bye, everybody. We'll see you for a Big Blue recap after the last game.